Satisfaction.
Cool.
All right, showtime.
You're starting.
And now. All right, let's do it.
20, 19, 18, 17, 16.
It's gonna take a while.
This is new.
3, 2, action.
We had everything going against us.
Yeah, we were young. We were broke. We didn't know anything about business. We literally started from nothing.
We were never supposed to make it. What's up, guys?
What's up, guys? Welcome back.
Welcome back. Episode number 20.
Yes, 20.
Win anyway, number 20. Hey.
We made it this far.
I push that button, Jay. The one that makes an applause.
Oh.
Hey.
We found the button.
We found the button.
Yes.
All right. So, no, episode 20. It's been cool. This means that we're at month 5 is coming to an end. What up, Franklin? This is Franklin, everybody.
No, never mind.
I don't know if you can see him in there or not. But anyways, episode 20. That means we're in the end of month 5.
Yes. Yeah. It went by really fast.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
20 times we've said, hey, what's up, guys?
Welcome back.
Yeah, it's crazy. Anyways, hey, do something special for us. Tag your friends when we post this clip on Instagram. And tag your friends. Spread the word. You know, we've been told this adds a lot of value to especially your new teammates, which right now has been our focus.
Ooh, okay. So why don't we do this? Because originally when the podcast got, approved for Apple, we said, hey, go leave a review. But the thing we forgot to tell you guys was to put your name on there. So how about
your Instagram name, not your name.
Yes, your Instagram name. So how about for the 20th episode, first, I don't know how many people, 20 people?
The next
20?
25 people
25
to leave
people.
an Apple review.
No.
Oh,
comment. No. A comment on YouTube with your Instagram name. We'll make an Instagram private mastermind group. Does that work?
Yeah, we could do like a 15-minute Zoom call.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah, so just leave us your Instagram name. We'll figure out a way to either do, a group or a Zoom call or whatever. First, 25 people to leave a comment on this YouTube video. YouTube video.
And a review.
If you haven't
on
done
Apple.
So. Yeah.
Leave another review.
Yeah, why not? Can you leave multiple reviews? I don't know.
Yeah, probably. Leave an Apple review. So here's what you do. You go leave an Apple review, even if you've already done it. Update your review. Put your Instagram name in there. And then go on this YouTube video and put a comment that you did that.
Yes, with your Instagram name.
With your Instagram name.
Yeah.
And we'll do a private mastermind group just in a celebration for episode 20. And we just crossed 2,000 subscribers on YouTube, which we appreciate you guys for.
Yeah.
2,000 people is crazy. That would be a lot of people in a room.
Right. I'm trying to picture it. And it's a lot of people.
Yeah.
But thank you guys.
It'd be about half our team. Mm-hmm. I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
Soon. Anyways, you guys, episode 20, we got a good one for you.
Yes.
I think this will add a lot of value to you. And the topic today is how to stop fighting with your spouse or your teammates in business.
Yeah, so this is for all of you, for 100% of you. Okay,
Yeah.
So this is going to change the way that you do business because we're in the people business. So you want to learn how to effectively work with people and communicate with them and have healthy, growing, lasting relationships with your teammates and your spouse or a brother or a sister or a parent, somebody who's working in business with you. And so I know for sure that these things are going to help you because they help our team and they help us. And so...
And there have been times when we fought in the business.
Yeah, of course. I mean, we're human, so...
Yeah, and people got egos and their feelings get hurt.
Yeah, and personally, we've just... I mean, very biased, obviously, but... I feel like we get along very, very, very well. Even, before the business, we worked together before the business. We actually worked at Hollister together. And, we've just spent a lot of time with each other, like in close proximity. And we've always just got along really well. And even us, have had to make some adjustments and learn how to work better together. And so I can only imagine for some of you guys who maybe don't work well together or your personalities clash, these are definitely going to help you for sure.
How to stop fighting with your spouse or your teammates.
Yes.
Here's the thing.
Yes.
You are never going to have a team if you can't figure out how to not fight with them.
Right.
It doesn't mean you're going to agree with everything, but as the leader, your response has to be, I mean, you can't, don't be the reason that you can't win. Like, you don't want to be the reason that you can't win.
Yeah, and the second that you have somebody on your team, you bring in a new teammate, you become a leader. So let's not forget that. So you want to, and let's say you're like, I don't have anybody on my team, so this doesn't apply to me, but do you want to?
Yeah, maybe there's a reason you don't have anybody on your team.
If you want to, then you need to master these skills. It's to your advantage that, you can master them before they get here. And if you currently have them, this is just going to help strengthen your relationship. So we're excited to get into it. And I think if we can start off with anything, it would be our number one starting point tip is that you need to over-communicate.
Amen.
Over-communicate, because that will help prevent a lot of the arguments that you're probably having or have encountered. Just over-communicating. And on everything, things that you don't think would be a big deal, sometimes you just need to over-communicate. And I'll give you an example. So let's say, for example, I am a trainer, right? And, Jay is on my team. So Jay's my direct. And Jay just got a new, I know, right? Scored. I got Jay. He's on my team. It's just me and him on the team. And he just got a new business partner named Sherry. So,
lucky me.
So because Jay isn't a trainer, I'm like, all right, I'm going to run with Sherry. I'm going to help train her. I'm going to run her appointments with her. I'm going to make phone calls with her. Now, what some people forget to do, and it's a very common mistake, is they forget to include Jay on all of this training and all of these phone calls and all of this stuff. And so he starts feeling out of the loop. He starts feeling like, oh, I'm just here to provide Ronnie with appointments. This is stuff that can happen if you're not over communicating.
This stuff happens all the time.
Yeah, because they just feel cut out. You stop calling them because you're calling Sherry all the time now.
Right.
You're hanging out with Sherry. You're not hanging out with Jay anymore.
I'm the jealous like ex-boyfriend or boyfriend.
Yeah, and so every time he calls Sherry, Sherry's with me now.
I'm like, dude, what the heck, man? I thought Sherry was on my team.
Yeah, exactly.
Why are you always calling Sherry?
Right, and so it starts creating this animosity, and then now you see Jay at training on a Wednesday night or a Saturday morning, and he's giving you all kinds of negative vibes, and he's looking at you different, and so it just creates this weird like animosity. But if you just over communicated from the beginning and included Jay in the leadership process, teaching him like, hey, this is stuff you're going to do with your future teammates. Like, hey, like Sherry and I are going to Starbucks, you should come with. Or if you need to talk to Sherry on your own, then, hey, I'm going to go talk to Sherry. We're going to talk about this, this, and this. And then you call him after, hey, we talked about this, this, and this. Everything can be solved with over communicating.
Part of the way that you could make that very easy too, so that you don't have to remember to go back and communicate with the other person, is just to communicate in the form of a group text where you're all in one spot. Mm-hmm. That way, if I'm the trainee or if I'm the trainer, what I always do is I'll put Ronnie in the group text and then I'll put the other person in the group text. So we communicate in one spot. So number one, everything's in one place. So I don't have to go out of my way to communicate anymore because you're in the group.
Right.
Number two, you're learning how to communicate effectively because you're in the group where you could see the way that I do it. So as a leader, you could see the way that after having done this for a long time, making a lot of mistakes, I know what to do, and you're getting to see and experience the way that it's done. So you're also duplicating at the same time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And, it goes both ways, too. So if Jay, I've been training Jay for a while, and Jay's like, you know what, I want to know what it's like to, run an appointment with another trainer in the office, right? Like, oh, I want to know what it's like when Sergio runs an appointment. So then Jay goes to Sergio, and Sergio goes and says, hey, can I run an appointment with you? I really want to know what it's like when you run an appointment, which, the appointments should all be the same, but, personalities are different. And then later, I see that you posted on GroupMe that, oh, I just ran an appointment with Sergio. He's amazing. And I'm like, wait, what? That creates a lot of animosity. So it goes both ways.
Yeah.
So it goes both ways, communicating, in all directions.
And on the spousal side of this, you got to over communicate. Mm-hmm. Because here's the thing. Couples fight in business so much for so many different reasons.
Right.
But you've got to over communicate. Guys, over communicating solves everything. Because the number one frustration with people is that there is no communication. Like your ass gets home at 2:00 in the morning.
Oh, yeah.
And you don't communicate. And then your spouse is like, what? I mean, I made this mistake too. You get caught up in doing things and before you know it, you just forget. You know, you're at a mastermind till 1:00 in the morning hanging out with your trainer or a couple of the guys on the team. And then, you know, your wife thinks you're at the strip club. My wife never thinks I'm at the strip club, but yours might. No. Or, you know, you're out doing a meeting after the meeting in her mind, right?
Right.
And so but if you just communicated, it'd probably be fine. Now, maybe your spouse is psycho, and so communicating wouldn't make a difference. But communicate. Here's the thing. You want to always play where your hands are clean.
Yes. And
if you communicate, then you did your part.
Right.
You can't control the reaction, but you did your part. So, for example, hey, just so you know, I'm going to go run this appointment, and then we're going to go meet at Starbucks. So I'll probably be home a little bit later than usual. Dude, tell them that this is something that is such an easy fix, but man, it prevents a lot of problems. What were you going to say about that?
And let me tell you, especially if, you know, your spouse is not in the business with you, they don't understand the culture of this business.
Especially if your ass ain't making no money.
Yes. Yeah, that definitely stings differently. So they don't understand the culture of the business. So when in your, you know, 9-to-5 job, corporate job, do you go do your work and then afterwards have another meeting to talk about the work that you just did? You know, like that's not going to make sense until 1:00, 2:00 in the morning where you're not getting paid.
That's called an affair, not
exactly.
A meeting after the meeting.
So you have to think, all right, you know, in the context that they view the world,
as an employee,
this going to make sense? And so if you're not communicating, you really can't get mad at them for
wondering where you're at.
Yeah, because you didn't explain it to them.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Or, you know, and another thing is that you don't communicate that you're going to go out to dinner. Maybe they want to go.
Yeah.
Maybe they're like,
I want to go.
Maybe I didn't go to the BPM, but if you're going to go out to dinner after, yeah, take me with. Like, that's how you recruit them, but you don't communicate.
Yeah.
And so just remember what I said. Always play with your hands clean.
Yeah. I remember one time he was training, you know, this guy named Brian on the team, right?
Oh, yeah.
And so this was a period of time.
Shout out to Brian.
Yeah, this is a period of time where we were, you know, not doing great financially. And so Brian had all these like amazing spots that he knew of, like in the LA area.
Yeah, Brian was a player. So Brian was always going on dates. Brian, if you're listening to this, you're still a player. And Brian was always going out. So this dude lived a fancy life, and he always knew where to go eat. He knew what had the best drinks, the best environment, all this. So Brian, when I was training Brian treated me to the good life.
So he would tell me this stuff, right? Like after, and I was so jealous because I was like eating pasta like 6 meals a day. And so I was like very, very bitter about all these amazing meals. But it did help that he would call me and tell me like, hey, this is the plan.
About it?
Dude, that sounded so good. You never brought me anything.
Because it was like 2 hours away, like in Playa Vista and stuff.
Sherry, aren't you mad when, you know, DJ doesn't bring you food?
Oh, yeah.
Right? Especially if it's like your favorite stuff.
And DJ don't have no leftovers either.
Yeah. So but I mean, it helps to over communicate. That way, it's like you know the plan. You're not like waiting around. You know, it's just good to over communicate in general.
So I'll just tell you one habit that I have. I mean, I don't do this as much now because I don't really we don't drive all over the world for appointments.
Right.
But every time I got out of something, I would always call Ronnie. Hey, just finished my appointment. Hey, just finished the mastermind. Hey, just finished the conference call. Hey, just finished whatever. And I'd always communicate with her. So she knew she was going to get an update from me all the time. And this is back in, like, not so much now because, like I said, I'm not going anywhere. But back in the day, I would drive from appointment to appointment to, like some of you still do. This is before I would have everyone come to me now. But I would always call. So just communicate, man.
And you know
so many problems are solved by that.
When you used to do that and when you used to call me, I was all for the business. I was like all in the business, but I was working and going to school. But when he would call me and tell me that stuff, like he would tell me how his appointments were going and, you know, the results he was getting or the non-results, whatever the situation was, I felt like I was going on appointments with him. Mm-hmm. So it made me feel like, oh, this is still my business and I'm still like, I know what's going on. I just, you know, I loved it. I loved that I was still, even though I wasn't able to be there physically, that I could be there,
right?
You know, with you.
Because you were in the loop.
Yeah, I just love knowing like, oh, this person on the team, you know, got this result. It just, you know, because I knew them and they were my friends, and
that's awesome.
It was a really good experience.
Over communicate.
Yes, it will save everything.
When you don't, it just leaves a room for a lot of assumptions and a lot of stories where your mind just runs and just takes an idea and goes with it, and it doesn't always end good. So
Right.
probably, in fact, it probably never ends good. No, people don't imagine good things. They only imagine bad things. So that's number one, on how to stop fighting with your teammates, how to stop fighting with your spouse. Number two, seek to understand. Oh, this is good, man. This is good. This is going to save your marriage. This whole
And
podcast. If you and your spouse can't get along, or you and your team can't get along, everyone needs to watch this together, popcorn and everything. Seek to understand before you try being understood. Now, what does that mean?
It means that usually when our, ego or our feelings are hurt, it's a very selfish feeling, like, oh, this is, being done to me. And so instead of going, if you're just communicating, trying to get them to understand things from your point of view, and they're doing the same thing, you're never gonna reach a common ground.
Right.
But if you're like, all right, let me figure out, why they're feeling the way that they're feeling, or what the issue is from their point of view, you will have a better understanding, and then you can communicate, to help fix whatever it is.
Okay, because it's not about you. So when you're in an argument or you're getting frustrated, that's because in your mind it's all about you. It's like, well, this is what you did to me. This is how you make me feel. It's not about you. It's really not. Like, an argument doesn't get solved if it's about you. It only gets solved if it's about the other person. So your number one outcome during a disagreement should be to understand what the other person is saying and why they feel the way they do before you try to make your point. That's how you fix a problem. Now, if you're not doing that, then you're fighting on your behalf, they're fighting on their behalf, and it's just a freaking fight.
Right. It's a war.
And yeah, it doesn't end. And here's the question you have to ask yourself. This argument, is this bothering me because I'm really trying to come to a conclusion and a solution, or is it bothering me because I want to be right?
I want to win.
Yeah, like if you're arguing with your teammate, here's the problem. Here's the bottom line. It's my outcome, my outlook on life in the business is I could either be right or I could be rich. And I'd rather be rich. So there's a lot of times when I go, all right, I'm going to send this message right now. And then I'm like, well, you know what? I could be right or I could be rich. Meaning I could send it and it'll make me feel better, but now my teammate's going to get mad at me and probably quit. Or I could just shut the hell up. Let it go. They could be right because it really ain't that important to me. And they're going to be here for the next 20 years and I'm going to be rich.
Yep. And so how would you say are better ways that we can understand, like seek to understand versus, trying to be understood? Like if somebody's upset,
Yeah, you gotta. It's the good old fashioned thing that Grandma always said, which is put yourself in their shoes. Why are they upset? Perception is everything. Whether you're right or wrong, they're right or wrong, it really doesn't matter because in their head, the only thing that matters is the fact that they only see things from their point of view.
Right.
And so it's taking the time to sit down and go, all right, is there a possibility here that I did something wrong? Did I do something wrong? I would say to not respond emotionally, not take things personally. Why do they get upset? Because you take it personally.
They feel like even if it's perceived, they feel like it's an attack on them as a person.
Yeah. Everyone, they're very fast to become defensive. And also, there's a very good chance that you put them in a place where they feel like they have to defend themselves, especially if you're not communicating to understand, right? If I just call you, I'm like, hey, why don't you call me? Where are you at? Where are you at? Why you been gone all day? Like, let's pretend your spouse calls you, right? So you didn't do number one. You didn't over-communicate. So 4.5 hours later, they're like, yo, where are you at? And then your response is what? What do you mean, where am I at?
I've been working. I've been,
why are you asking?
I'm trying to pay the bills. Like,
hey, what did you do? You're not on appointments. So it's like, oh, here we go, dude.
And
you
then
literally,
boom.
oh man, the worst thing you could say, well, who's the one who pays all the bills around here? Who's the one who runs all appointments all
Who
day?
makes all the money?
Yeah, who's running appointments? You don't prospect. Dude.
It's not going to work
Now,
out.
that was the thing that made you feel better, right?
Oh, in the moment.
But man, do you regret that shit.
Oh, yeah. So I would say a better thing to do is if you're trying to understand somebody is to ask them genuine questions, not sarcastic questions, but genuine questions. If you're genuinely confused about why they're upset.
Yeah. So how do you, instead maybe you call and you go, hey, I haven't heard from you. Is everything okay?
Yeah. But genuinely, like not sarcastically.
Hey, dude, your freaking phone broken or what?
Yeah. Oh, no, the answer, the best part is you're like, oh, I guess your phone's working.
Yeah. Oh, your phone does work.
Yeah. Oh, you can pick it up.
Yeah, like an elite circle.
Yeah.
So here's the deal. It's like, I guess that would bring us to number 3. Let's just make point number 3. Don't take things personally. Mm-hmm. Let's put in a teammate perspective, for example. You know, your teammate wants to go on an appointment with a different trainer.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, man, your ass is hurt.
Yes. You're like, what is wrong with my appointment?
Yeah, did I do something wrong?
Yeah.
Well, why? Why do you want to go with them? Mm-hmm. Why? We're not even on the same team. We want to keep all the points in the base. Mm-hmm. How many of you guys have ever heard that crap before? We're on a run. We're trying to run for promotion. Now you're going to give half the points to a different team. Mm-hmm. But why do people say that? Well, here's the thing. Don't take things personally. How about your client's upset with you?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And you're just like, you're questioning my work ethic or integrity or my customer service, you know?
Yeah, I had this conversation with someone today. I won't mention their name, but I'm talking to this guy and he goes, yeah, their client's mad at me. They said that I'm taking too long, you know, and they told me it was going to get approved in 2 weeks, and it's been a month now because they ordered an APS, and the agent's so mad, right? And they respond and they go, well, you're questioning my integrity. I'm like, really? That was your response? It totally, this dude totally took it personally. Well, you want to know the problem when you respond like that? You respond emotionally, not logically. Now you just what? You just screwed your client. Like you just lost your client because now you got butthurt and you took it personal.
Yeah. When honestly, it's something that you can work through with your client where it's like, okay, I understand that you feel like it's taking too long, right? Yeah, I just feel like it's taking forever. It's been weeks. Okay, you know, would it make you feel better if we called the company together and found out some way that we can expedite the process?
That's good.
That we were both on the same page. You know what's going on. I know what's going on. You know, would it help you if I just provided you with, you know, update every couple of days or once a week? Like, you know, what would be good for you?
It goes back to over-communicate. Now, what if you over-communicate and they're still mad at you? Remember, there's something called projecting. Mm-hmm. Which means sometimes when people lash out, you go like, dude, what the heck? Like, I'll give you an example. I'll tell you an example about Ronnie. Funny story.
She loves this story because it's the only one he has, by the way.
She never like projects at me for nothing. So like we don't really fight about anything, thankfully.
Yeah.
I'm very fortunate and very thankful for that. But I intermittent fast on an average of about 18 to 21 hours a day on average.
Yeah.
So I eat like 4 or 5 meals in like 4 or 5 hours. And then I go back to fasting because I'm fat naturally. Like
he's not fat.
I have a little fat kid inside of me that's trying his best to get out for the last 30 years. And so if you've seen my family, you know what I'm talking about. They don't listen to my podcast, so don't worry about it. So at the end of the day, we have like the naturally fluffy genetics. Like a little fluffier. Like none of us will drown. We would all float.
Right. Okay.
So we look like South Park if you took a family picture. So here's the deal. I intermittent fast. I found that's the best freaking life hack for me. Is phenomenal. What are you doing over there?
I'm just getting really hot in here.
Oh, the best life hack for me is to intermittent fast because I can eat whatever I want and I don't get fat. And so it's great. Well, anyway, so I told Ronnie, hey, you should try the intermittent fasting. But she's freaking tiny and her whole family's tiny. And so I don't think she could get fat. So long story short, Ronnie's at like 14, 15 hours of intermittent fasting. Yeah. It's like day 3.
Yeah, day 3.
Her pants are already falling off of her.
I lose weight really fast.
And we're in the bathroom getting ready for like to go on an appointment or something.
For food.
For food, okay. And so long story short, I like, so where do you want to go? And she's like, I don't know, wherever you want to go. I'm like, why don't you just pick somewhere? She goes, why don't you just pick a effing place? I'm like, hell, what? And I'm like, excuse me? She goes, I don't give a shit. Just pick a place. I'm like, wow.
Dude, and
Like that? But see, I don't take things personally, and I also know that's not her true character, right? So I turned to her and I go, and she knew it too.
it was the slow turnaround, by the way.
It was this turn like this. Really?
Yeah.
Really? Wow. That's how I respond, right? And I look at her and I go, all right, here's what's going to happen. One of two things.
Yes.
Number one, you're going to go downstairs and eat. Or number two, you're going to cut that shit out because that's not how we communicate around here. And she goes, all right, I'm going to go eat.
Because it's one of those moments where the words are coming out of your mouth and you're trying to get them back. Like you're trying to grab them
like,
and
oh,
they're
no.
just gone and you're like,
Oh, shit.
so close.
But see, here's my point, is that I've worked a lot on myself.
Yeah.
And so I don't respond emotionally. The majority of the time, I'm human, okay? But the majority of the time, so when she said that, I was like, wow. What, this fasting's really getting to you.
It was.
But imagine if I'd have responded the way most people would. What the fuck? Excuse me? Like, who the hell you think you're talking to? Like, that's how people respond. And then people respond like that to their clients.
Yeah.
Or to their teammates. Here's the thing. You never know what someone's going through. Like, my dog likes to walk around, the little one, Miley. He likes to walk around the damn house. And I call him Twinkle Toes because the whole freaking time all I hear is click, 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 because we have hardwood floors. And I'm like, dude. And I told Ronnie the other day, I was like, yo, we need to get homeboy some socks. I said, let me tell you why. Because the problem's not that he walks around. It's that I'm quarantined at home. And my whole appointment, all I hear is like a freaking mouse is in the house. Because this little Shih Tzu's walking around. And I start calling him a little shit because he won't shut up. And here's the thing. I told her, I said, him walking around is not the problem. The problem is that it irritates me. And it just eats at my patience all day. Uh-huh. So by the end of the day, everything pisses me off because this thing just like irritates me. My point is that people project. And if you don't know that, you take everything personal. Mm-hmm. How dare they talk to me like that? Well, you don't know what they've gone through all day long. And they're just putting it on you, but it really has nothing to do with you.
Yeah, so before you take things personal, ask yourself, what do you want the outcome of this situation to be?
Oh, so true.
So just stop before you respond emotionally and take it personal and say, okay, in this situation, like with the client, what do I want the result to be? Well, ultimately, I would like the client to feel like I took care of them and that they stay my client long term. And so if that's the goal, then the rest of my action steps are going to be in alignment with that goal versus my goal being to destroy them,
yeah.
Which I feel like is the emotional response where you're like, I'm going to get them good.
I'm going to show you.
Yeah, here's this text message and you're just,
Die without life insurance. I don't care.
DJ.
I mean, hey, you may feel like that. But it's like she said, is delivering that message going to help you or hurt you? It may help your ego,
right? But
it ain't going to help your business.
So I'll tell you something. So Sergio, one of our top guy on our team. So what he usually does is we'll have this conversation and he'll say to me what he wished he would have said. And then I'll go, oh, is that what you actually said? He's like, no, that's not what I actually said. But he's like, it just feels good to like get it out there to somebody. Yeah. So if you have to say it, or you have to write it down for yourself or text it to yourself just so you feel like you got it out of your system, then do what you got to do. But at the end of the day, what is your ultimate outcome? And if your outcome is to be, I still want my team to be here and to respect me, and I still want my spouse
to be here,
my clients, then go with that. Go with that second, instinct.
Remember, you could be rich or you could be right.
Yeah. So be rich.
It's better to be rich. You don't have to be right.
Yeah.
And be rich and right. If you could find a way to do that too.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Here's the thing. Remember, the end outcome is I want to build my team. So I have to collect people, and I can't collect people if I'm always yelling at them all. Whether they're right or wrong, doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Like at the end of the day, it really doesn't matter. I would tell you to, like Ronnie said, maybe write the message, but don't deliver the message.
Right.
So I gave this person feedback. I said, hey, how about you do this next time? Because you like to respond all fired up. Like I can see your fingers have freaking steam in them when you're typing your message. And then he will send us the screenshot after he already sends the message. I'm like, what the hell are you sending it to me now for?
Right.
So you can show me how you just screwed everything up? Or why are you sending? You should have sent it to me before you responded. So I told him, I said, hey, maybe next time, go write the message somewhere else, like in your notes app or something, not in the actual text window or email. Then come back to it an hour later and see if you still feel the same way. And if you do, leave it there and come back another half hour later and see if you still feel the same way. And if you do, maybe then seek some outside counsel from like your mentor before you click send. You know, one of the things that I love, there's a book called, I don't remember what it's called. I think Dale Carnegie wrote it. It's about Abraham Lincoln. Something about like the secret life of Lincoln or something like that. I can't remember what it's called. Not the secret life of an American teenager.
Secret
it was like
life
the secret
of
life of Lincoln. Or,
Is that real?
I don't know what it's called. Something about Lincoln.
Okay.
Anyways, the book talks about about Abraham Lincoln's leadership. And one of the things about his leadership is that there you go. Lincoln Unknown. That's what it's called. Lincoln Unknown.
Secret.
See, same thing.
Yeah.
Secret Life, Unknown Life. Lincoln Unknown by Dale Carnegie. And in the book, he tells this story about when Abraham Lincoln died, how Abraham Lincoln had a really good skill and he had a really good art, which was relationships. So they went in after Lincoln died and they searched through his desk. They found all these angry letters, right? Of letters that he had wrote to like the military general about how he screwed everything up and all these different things. And in the book, he talks about how what Abraham Lincoln did is when he was upset, this is back in the day where they wrote letters, they didn't text. He would write these angry letters because they made him feel better. But he never delivered them. So he would write the letter about you're an idiot, you screwed everything up, in his own that's classy words.
That's a direct quote.
And then he would fold it up and stick it in his drawer. And it was his way of getting everything out, but he didn't ruin all his relationships. And these are ways that you can stop fighting with your spouse or your teammate.
Yeah.
And your clients.
Yes. And before we get the direct messages about specific relationships you guys have, yes, there are toxic relationships where, you can do all you can do and it's still not going to work. This is not those relationships, okay?
Yeah, no, and this is not marriage counseling either.
No. So if you need a marriage counselor, by all means.
Get one.
And if you don't need one, it's still, could be beneficial.
Yeah, but these, I think, will really help you. And just know, you and your spouse are not the only ones that fight in the business. Mm-hmm. Especially if you're working together, then you may really fight.
Right.
And then there may be some fireworks going on. But it's probably at the end of the day because you're both passionate about trying to win. And you both want to have a place in the business. And you both want to be important. And you both want to be valuable. That's a good thing. Mm-hmm. But you got to figure out how to communicate. And part of figuring out how to communicate is number one, over communicate. Number two, seek to understand. Not always try to be understood. Number three, don't take things personal. It's better to be rich than it is to be right. Mm-hmm. Number four, last thing.
The last thing we just want to remind you guys is that you have to look at, challenges or conflicts as ways that you can strengthen your relationship with people instead of things that are going to hurt it. So it's okay. It's normal. It's natural for human beings to disagree or to, have some conflict, have some challenges. But at the end of the day, it should just strengthen the way that you communicate and strengthen the relationship. Afterwards, it should be like, okay, that was a productive conversation. We actually accomplished something. We worked through something together, and it should make you guys closer as, if you're in a relationship or as teammates, as, client and, agent, whatever relationship you have, it should just strengthen it, not weaken it.
Yeah. Grant Cardone always says that a bad experience for a client is a way to win a client for life.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Because how you deal with a problem during a relationship or a transaction with a client tells the client right there whether they could count on you long term. Because if you guys could get through bad stuff, which is like, for example, you screw something up, you know, you're trying to put in the policy for $100 a month and you accidentally put an extra zero, you know, and it drafts the client's bank account $1,000. I made that mistake before. And here's the thing. How do you fix it? You know, you over communicate, you know, you don't get emotional about it. All these things are ways to make your relationship stronger with a teammate. Same thing. You know, there's an opportunity for you to show your teammate that you got their back.
Yeah. And at the end of the day, they'll know when things are easy. I mean, easy come, easy go. You know what I mean? Right. But when you have to go through little ups and downs, they'll know you have their backs in the good times and in the bad times, and the highs and the lows. And that's what ultimately you want. That's who you really want to build a big team, a big organization with, is people that are your ride or dies. And this is how you do that. And
in relationships with your spouse, it's, I mean, you don't really know the strength of your relationship until it gets tested. Once you deal with some bullshit, then you can find out right there, all right, we're going to make it or we ain't going to make it.
Right.
You know, when everything's just the honeymoon stage, everything's great. But once the real crap hits, you try working together. That's the real... Now, I'm not saying if you can't work together, you're not supposed to be together. That's not what I'm saying.
No.
But I believe you should be able to figure out how to work together.
Yeah.
And it's by not always having to be right. You know, when you have a conversation, try to have a conversation without emotion. When you're getting in a fight, fights only come from emotion. You remove the emotion, now it's not a fight, it's a conversation. It could be a disagreement. But on paper, there's not emotion on paper. So if you could just talk about the problem on paper, not all the emotion behind it of ego and I want to be right and you're wrong and you hurt me and how dare you and all that other bullshit, then you could have a real conversation. And I'll just tell you a little game that Ronnie and I play, because there's been times when we start getting frustrated with each other a lot because we want to win. We both want to win just as bad. So I had an idea, because to me, everything's a challenge. Everything's a game. And so I said, all right, babe, this is what we're going to do. From now on, we're going to play a game. Because the only time we get in an argument is when one of us does something that frustrates the other one. Actually, it's not even that. Something happens, and we're so big on energy that we can see when each other's energy shifts. So, for example, let's say her energy shifts, which means I did something that irritated her, right? Then I get frustrated because her energy shifted. So I'm like, all right, something's wrong. Then she gets frustrated with me that I'm frustrated with her. Then I get frustrated with her that she's frustrated with me that I'm frustrated with her. And then it ends up in an argument.
Cycle.
And so we both agreed that that's exactly how it works, right? And so I was like, all right, we're going to play a game. From now on, whoever gets frustrated first loses a point. And I'm not even bullshitting you. Ever since we started that, we have had no problems.
And you know who's winning?
Who?
Miley. Because
Why
you're
Miley?
Definitely getting frustrated with him first.
Yeah. Twinkle Toes is winning. But here's my point is like, we're like, all right, I'm going to do everything I can not to get frustrated with you. You're going to do everything you can not to get frustrated with me. Now that we don't know what the prize is, but so far it's a 0-0.
Yeah.
Neither one of us are winning. But hey, guess what? Everything's good because we practice being patient. You know, and then I'm like, oh, hold on. I'm not about to get frustrated. And then you realize how little a lot of the crap that you usually get irritated about is. It's like it doesn't even matter. It's irrelevant. You're just projecting because something somewhere else frustrated you, and then it blows up when you get home because you can't blow up anywhere else. So you come home and kick your dog instead, and your dog's like, what the hell did I do? I didn't do anything. Figuratively, of course, hopefully.
Hopefully.
But anyhow.
Yeah.
Whoosh.
Yep. And I hope that helps you guys, because it's definitely, something that we use and we practice every single day. So that's what we got for you.
Key word, she said, practice.
Practice.
No one and no relationship is perfect.
You can't try it once and then get frustrated and say it doesn't work. You have to practice it.
Yeah, and take ownership. You can't be like, well, if I did that with my spouse, it'd be like 30-0. Clearly you're the damn problem. I tell you right now, you're the problem, just for the very fact that you think that way. Another episode to reference might be how to work with your spouse or business partner.
Right. That
You
will
know,
help.
there would be another episode. I don't know where it was, 14, 15, something like that. But that's another one that would kind of go hand in hand with this. But take some ownership.
Yep. All right, guys. So
Hey.
don't forget about our contest
Yes.
first 25 comments on
25
the YouTube.
reviews on the Apple podcast, and then go on YouTube and put your name so that we could find you. And we can make a little
And we'll put
mastermind
it
group.
together. Yeah.
And this is just as a thank you.
Yes.
We appreciate all your guys' support. We'd like to see the Apple podcast reviews go over 200. Right now it's at like 125. So go leave a review on Apple Podcasts and then go put a comment on YouTube so that we know you did. And because that's what we check the most.
Yeah, and as always, please like, share, comment, drop this in your group me, everything. We really appreciate it. And, it helps us know that what we're doing is what you want to hear.
Yeah.
So that's it.
All right, you guys, we're out. Thank you.
All right, love you guys.